Hi there. I was asked a while ago to make a video about procrastination, and I've been putting it off and putting it off, and finally I decided today, okay, I'm going to do this thing. So here I am to talk a little bit about procrastination, which all of us experience all the time. I mean, I don't think there's a human being who hasn't put off things that they know they should do for lots of different reasons. But one reason that's common to most of us is that we avoid doing things because there's so many other more attractive things in our environment at any given moment, right? I mean, most of us, especially privileged enough to be on a campus like this, have lots of opportunities to do lots of things. And now that we have electronic devices, we have even more opportunities to do more things. And all of those things, when we're faced with something that's not particularly appealing, all those things look pretty good as an alternative to the things that we should do. And I'll tell you what, a number of years ago, I was involved with a school in the Southeast, an elementary school, and there was a project going on at the time where these folks from psychology came in and asked the teachers, what are the biggest challenges your students have of all the subjects that you're teaching? What are the biggest challenges they have? And the one that came up was mathematics. The kids were really struggling with mathematics. They weren't motivated to do mathematics. It wasn't a happy time. So these folks came in with an intervention, and the intervention was really simple as an experiment. So they created 42 pages of math worksheets. And that doesn't sound very appealing right on its face, right? But they divided the kids into two groups because, science, two groups. And one of the things that they did is they asked one group of students to come in 6 weeks, an hour each week. And that group came in on the first day, in the first session, and they were given all 42 worksheets, and they were told, okay, so what we're going to do is over the next 6 weeks, we're going to work through these 42 worksheets, so by the end of this 6 sessions, you'll be done. And the other group, the only difference between the two groups, is the other group, when they came in, were given just 7 worksheets and said, by the end of the day today, we're going to finish these 7 worksheets, not even hearing about the other worksheets that were to come in the future sessions. Now, as you would guess, I mean, everybody's working through these worksheets over the 6 weeks, and at the end, they wanted to assess, what happened to these students as a result of having gone through this experience. And you know what I'm about to say, or I wouldn't be telling you this story. The people who were only given 7 worksheets a day, at the end of this whole process, not only did they do better in completing the worksheets, but when they were given a different assessment in mathematics, they did better than the people who got all 42 worksheets on the first day. They also had more positive attitudes about mathematics and about their own capability with mathematics. And when given a choice in free time, they more often choose to do math games and puzzles than the people who were given all 42 worksheets at the beginning. Now, I'm a quick learner, and I don't take a lot of time to pick up things that are important to see. And so I thought about what are the experiences of my life that I really don't like and I really procrastinate a lot on. And the one that I came up with right away without any hesitation was doing my taxes. Now, it's not that I don't like paying taxes. In fact, I think I should be paying more in taxes, but the paperwork involved in it was so onerous and awful to me, and I would put it off as much as possible. And as April approached, I just got more and more miserable and anxious about it. So I took this study to heart, and I said, well, I'm going to create an experience for me for doing my taxes. So I set some small goals for myself that were leading up to eventually filing my taxes on April 15th. And here was my first goal. My first goal was to get all the paperwork related to my income taxes in one room in my house. Because some of it's in my office at the university, and some of it's in the glove box of my car, and some of it's in my briefcase. So my first goal was to get all this stuff in one room in my house. And when I did that, I said, well, what can I reward myself with? And I love good chocolate, not milk chocolate, but real good dark chocolate. So after I got all the stuff in my room, I thought, okay, time for chocolate. That's it for that day. No more taxes that day. And the next goal I had was to get all that paper that was scattered around that one room in my house in piles related to what they had to do with. So I had business expenses in one pile, and stuff about healthcare in another pile, and stuff about, repair to my home in another pile. And that was my goal, just on that day, get all those piles sorted in one day. And I did that. Time for more chocolate. And as you can see, I'm not going to go through the whole sequence here, but each subsequent session was set up to get some part of my taxes finished. And by the time April rolled around, heck, I filed them early. It was amazing. Now, you might say, well, look, this is, you could have cheated, you could have just said you did it, not do it. You could have waited till the last minute anyway. But one of the things that I realized about that from my own experience is that setting those small goals that were accomplishable allowed me to push forward to the next goal because I had already accomplished something. Now, if you think about that conceived of in a different way, like my taxes aren't done and my goal is taxes are done, all the work that I do on my taxes, so I work on them for an hour, they're still not done. I work on them for another hour, they're still not done. I come back a couple days later and work on them for another hour, they're still not done. So all of that pathway, I'm always not done. But just for the fact of having set those small goals that are accomplishable in a reasonable amount of time, a time that I'm willing to spend, allowed me to feel good and reward myself. I think I would have felt good even without the chocolate, but the chocolate was just a bonus I afforded myself. But all those opportunities to feel good because I was accomplishing goals. Now, the thing is, I set those goals. And for all of you who are in classes in school, at least the goals related to your academic experience, you're not setting the goals for the most part. The faculty member's setting the goals, and you get a syllabus and it has a calendar on it and there's stuff to do, and you say, well, that's due then, and that's due then, and that's due then. And you think, well, I'll wait till it's close to the time when that thing is due and that thing is due, and then I'll start working on it. But here's the problem. Well, you know the problem. You've been in school for a while, is that all the faculty who are writing all those syllabi and setting all those deadlines, they don't talk to each other. So they don't know how many things are going on in 1 week for you for the classes you're enrolled in. I'm just doing stuff for my course because, of course, my course is the most important course you're enrolled in this semester. So as you're kind of setting all this up, you've got to say for yourself, okay, how am I going to arrange this time in such a way that I'm allocating time in a way that I accomplish things that I can feel good about accomplishing in the time allotted before I go on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Now, setting this up takes time. And if you've not done this before, if you're a chronic procrastinator and you're just generally stressed and unhappy, this isn't something you just kind of snap your fingers and you start doing it. You have to learn to do it, and it takes practice. And you have to say to yourself, how can I create a small goal for myself that I can accomplish in the relatively short term, and now I can go away from that task, do something else, even something fun or maybe a different task, and then come back to that and accomplish another small goal. And it's that sequence of small goals getting accomplished that takes tasks that would otherwise seem so daunting and so onerous and makes them seem more manageable and more doable because you've set them up in a way that you have an ongoing sense of accomplishment. Now again, this takes some practice to do this. It's not something you just hear somebody talk about and then you can do it all of a sudden. But it's worth the effort because what it does is it puts you in charge of when things happen. Right now, for most of the students I talk to, you've got an array of syllabi, you're trying to do all stuff. Who's deciding when things happen? Not you, because that due date's over there and that due date's over there, and I didn't choose any of that. But you can choose that. You can choose, I know this due date is whenever it is in, April, whatever, but I can say, okay, so I'm going to allot a little time to do some small part of this task at the end of February, and then another one maybe in mid-March or the beginning of March. And now I'm setting the schedule. And the sense of agency that comes from setting your own schedule, for not feeling like you're just at the whim of whatever faculty members tend to throw at you, puts you in an entirely different frame of mind. Because now you are the person who's deciding when am I going to spend time on what, rather than letting the assignments decide and the faculty member decide. And now you're in charge of yourself in a way that's, I hate to use this word, empowering, but you feel a sense of agency, like I can affect the world around me because I can make choices about how I spend my time. So if you're thinking about, I don't like this procrastination stuff, start with some small goal and accomplish that goal and enjoy the fact that you've accomplished that goal with whatever enjoyment requires for you, playing a video game or eating chocolate or having a conversation with a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. But the idea now, you're pairing a short-term investment with an accomplishment of a goal and then something pleasurable that you attach to all of that, that will teach your brain to do things in a way that you might not be doing already. Okay, that's my take on procrastination. Good luck.